Hello and welcome. This is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. We come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock right here on AM 590, The Answer. Well, just so much going on in our world that is just everything seems upside down. I don't know if it's me or the fact that I do so much research. I'm really thinking that it's not good to have so much of this crap going in my mind about what's going on out there in the world. But it seems like every time I turn on some media of any ilk, if you will, Republican, Democrat, or, Croatian, you get some sort of craziness that's going on in the world. And you say, what is wrong with me that I, whatever happened to is just a beautiful day out there and the sun's shining and it's wonderful. And, I'm lucky to be alive and like that. There's just so much craziness and it's hard to keep up on all of it, quite frankly. It really is difficult to maintain what is going on and try to get some level of truth. And I sometimes think about that for our kids because, our kids are going to get more information provided to them than any generation ever before them. And it's, you say to yourself, how do you teach your child what is true and what is real and how to protect themselves online? And, who is telling them that information? I guess I'm a bit old fashioned, but I always think of people as you're only as good as your word. And if people are putting out false information, then they're not good people. But all this information goes out online, and we don't know what's real or not real, or what is more important, the motivation behind it. So many people are feeding our kids stuff. And, you can watch the nightly news and you kind of believe based on whatever news channel you watch, because you can hear the same story, but you will not recognize it as the same story. And so it goes with social media really controlling what we think and what we do. And I've often thought about this big subject. We're gonna talk about a headline that came out today. Actually, it came out this week, and several people have contacted me and are all elated about the possibilities of it. But the story is so much more complex from that. So before I get started, for those of you that don't normally listen to this show, my name is Opal Singleton, and I am the president and CEO of an organization called Million Kids, Million. Million Kids has been doing combating sex trafficking, sextortion, labor trafficking, social media exploitation, child pornography, sextortion of all types, even money laundering for darn near 13 years now. And I work in running this company. I am the training and outreach coordinator for the Riverside County Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. That is a task force of men and women organized by the Riverside County Sheriff Department. We're a huge county. We go all the way to the Arizona border. We have a big mix of different populations that we work with to try to keep our kids safe from predators. Whether you're talking about them falling in love on some dating site and getting mixed up with some gang guy, and the next thing you know, they're out turning tricks somewhere on enforced prostitution. Sometimes our kids fall in love and send that naked photo and they get blackmailed. And then you have just perpetrators who violate young kids and send their photos out around the world. So that's the business that we're in. It's kind of an icky business, if you will, as far as whether or not it's good news or bad news. Oftentimes I'm involved in bad news because families contact me and they know of a kid that's being violated or being exploited, or they have a family member maybe somewhere that's in forced prostitution. And I get involved in handling the leads and sending them on to the right agencies. So I've been known for years of my research. I've been studying all kinds of subjects for the last 12 years and trying to figure out where this is going. And that's what I want this show to be about today. Got this headline from many of our followers this week. And by the way, if you want to share information with me, you can do that at Opal, OPAL, at millionkids.org. So the headline, there are a couple of headlines depending on what media you're watching. This one happens to be Fox News, and there's another one I'll give you in a minute. Headline, Facebook could be held liable for sex trafficking on its platform. Court rules. Subtitle on that is Texas court finds that Facebook is not a lawless no man's land. Now, I'm going to get into that article, but there's another article very similar to that. Headline from something called Opendia, I would guess, OPINDIA. Headline, not permitted to act as a lawless no man's land. Texas Supreme Court rules that Facebook could be held liable for sex trafficking on its platform. So I want to really walk you through the behind the scenes on this and help you understand where all of this is going, and whether or not it's a victory will be depending on how you see things and what you think is happening on there. So one of the things I wanted to do is look at, because there's a lot of talk about big tech and breaking them down, that they're too big to for their own good, if you will. And it is an interesting concept. I looked up some statistics here to see just where we are. It's kind of hard to get true statistics, but the top 4 apps are owned by the Zuckerberg family. And I understand Zuckerberg's thinking about stepping down. I don't know how that's going to be and what role his wife Chan Zuckerberg plays. She is a big influencer. She put out $5 million donation to make sure our Proposition 20 did not pass in the state of California. And that Proposition 20 would have made child sex crimes a violent crime. Why she would be against that, I have trouble understanding. But in the interest of full disclosure, because I thought child sex crime should be a violent crime, Million Kids and Opal Singleton personally was taken off of Facebook. They went through and said that they thought that they didn't give you a reason, but I was caught up in that wave of people with dangerous thinking. And I try not to be political, although I recognize that I'm on conservative talk radio, but I try not to be political because I need as many people as possible to help us save kids' lives. So regardless of your political affiliation, I ask you to join in with us to keep our kids safe from predators. But apparently they didn't agree. Facebook, the 4 top ones that are owned by Zuckerberg are Facebook Messenger. And it's an interesting thing because we're hearing about all this activity on Facebook, and yet the statistics I see say that only 5% of Facebook users are actually under 18 years of age. Now, that may not be true of Messenger. They also own Facebook WhatsApp. And WhatsApp is the big app being used by cartels and gang members and the entire Hispanic community. WhatsApp is huge all over South America and Latin America and Europe, and is used often by communicating to individuals in foreign countries that can then begin to convince them that maybe they want to come to the U.S., go join a caravan, or, crash the border, or get involved in connecting with a coyote. And Facebook says, no, they're not part of that, but we do know that that is how that is used. They also own Instagram. After that is Snapchat, which is a Snap product, Skype, which is a Microsoft product, and for a little while, TikTok was the largest. TikTok is owned by ByteDance. ByteDance is a Singapore organization, but it is huge here in the U.S. Now, as far as worldwide, TikTok operates under 2 names, so that may be why they're showing those numbers separately. Then something called UC Browser, owned by Alibaba, and then YouTube, owned by Google, and of course, Twitter is Twitter. So I take the time to share that with you because I want to talk about some court cases that are coming down that will affect especially Facebook, and what all of the hubbub is about whether or not they can be held liable for the content on Facebook. So my name is Opal Singleton. This organization is Million Kids, and the show is Exploited Crimes and Technology. So I hope you'll share this. We're on at 3 o'clock every Saturday. We are up against the break, so we'll be right back.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Hey, there are many good restaurants in the Inland Empire, but really great restaurants are hard to find. Let me tell you about the Toasted Barrel in Corona. It's a trendy, upscale steakhouse with great pasta and seafood. It's a fantastic choice for birthdays and anniversaries or just that special night out with your loved one and friends. Inland Empire magazine has awarded them Best Restaurant and Brunch for the past 3 years. The owners, Ed and Shirley, are friendly and attentive to your needs. If you're a prime rib connoisseur, this place is for you. Go ahead and try it out. The Toasted Barrel, located at 1300 El Sobrante Road in Corona. Or Google them at Toasted Barrel to make reservations. I guarantee you, you're going to love it. Be sure and tell Ed and Shirley that Opal sent you. It will be a night you'll never forget.
Real estate sales in the Inland Empire are really hot. Sellers and buyers recognize that these low interest rates will not last. Sean and Colleen at Caldwell Banker Armstrong Properties in Riverside are proud to sponsor this show. They are the best in the Inland Empire. They're fair, honest, creative, and they care about you and your situation. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call Sean and Colleen at 951-529-4066.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. We are talking about a potential situation going on down in Texas. Don't you just love Texas? I would know Governor Abbott if I saw him on the street, but I'm very proud of his actions. I see that. I still believe a man or woman is only as good as their word. And you're as good as your productivity. And I see that all across the nation. And Governor Abbott is a hero. Governor DeSantis is a hero for taking a stand to make sure not so much that people don't enter our country, but they don't enter with people who are exploiting them on our soil. And that is really the problem that is going on at the border. I'm off on a tangent here a minute, but bear with me. You know, any time a government does away with the rule of law, such as sanctuary states and sanctuary cities, you are allowing the underground economy to make the decisions for you. Because if you say we're not going to enforce federal laws, such as our border laws, then what happens is you enter an underground economy. And, I'm not against good people who want to come in, but I am against the selection process that takes place when you overlook the rule of law, because it is no longer the U.S. government that can do background checks and say, yes, you can come in, and no, you cannot come in because you've already been arrested for a sex crime or killing somebody or something like that. And when you go to an underground economy, what you're doing is allowing cartels and big gangs like MS-13 and Sinaloa cartel to collect money from people and decide who gets in and who does not. And so their selection process doesn't have anything to do with the criteria for legal immigration. And that is the challenge that's going on. Well, I'm off on a bit of a tangent, but I say this because Texas now has, their Supreme Court has made a ruling Facebook could be held liable for sex trafficking on its platform. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled. So let me just kind of read from a couple of these articles a minute so that you can appreciate. This one is coming through the Houston Chronicle and being reported by Fox Business News. The victims were reportedly preyed on through social media platforms' messaging system, so Facebook Messenger, prompting prosecutors to claim the site was negligent in not better blocking sex trafficking opportunities. So organizations like Facebook are monitored and are legally controlled, let's say it that way, or directed under Section 230 in Internet law that says online platforms are not responsible for third-party content posted on the service site. So what you have here, before I go any farther about this ruling, let me lay the groundwork of where this is going and what is at stake here so that you're informed in how to deal with this. You see, I want you to think about these internet operations and how they operate. I found myself, like any other consumer, I began to think of Facebook and Instagram and all those as something like a public utility. I can't tell you quite how I came to that conclusion, but I'm a consumer like everybody else, and I think about it. For years we had AT&T. Now I have Spectrum, and I pick up the phone, and it's my service, and I say anything I want, and nobody comes on and says, "Hey, I think what you said is not accurate," or "I don't agree with your thinking," or even worse, "I think what you're thinking might be dangerous. So therefore, as AT&T, we're going to take your phone away because I monitor what you say." That has never happened. Now, there is a unique difference that most of us don't think about. We pay AT&T or Spectrum for our phone service. So with that, we assume a right to privacy and that we can say whatever we do and want to say on there. But it is not true the way that works. These internet companies are controlled by Section 230 of the Communications Act. And what happens on that is that they do not charge you to use their platform. Now, they do ask you to hit an I agree button, which you do, or else you do not get the app. But it is not like a telephone company where you're paying something and you have a right to privacy. In fact, if you think about Facebook, how did they become almost $1 trillion company? They did that because when you go on and you hit I agree, you agree that you basically have no privacy. By the way, you also agree that you're going to be a certain age and you're going to abide by their rules. Nobody ever reads the I agree button that goes on there. And so you agree or you don't get the app. It's that simple. Well, when you agree, you are giving them the right to sell everything about you. What you think, what music you post, if you're posting a video of a particular singer or that you like a certain genre of music, you decide, and and what you're posting, and they have the right to sell that everything about you. They even take it further. They go, we use cookies. You want to agree to this? Now, Facebook doesn't ask you. When you signed up, you agreed. But a lot of apps will want to sell where you're located. The Allstate Good Driving, I think it's Allstate, maybe I got the company wrong, the Good Driving app. You agree that they can record all that information, and in exchange for that, they're giving you a lower rate, maybe. And so if you go to Rite Aid instead of CVS, they know that. If you go to the casino on the weekend, they know that. If you make a trip to the liquor store, they know how long you stayed in that liquor store. And all of that is being sold out to advertisers. If you don't believe it, go on to Facebook and look at an article, or try to even go on to, for instance, Press Enterprise, and they want you to sign up and pay them money. But in the meantime, they're selling ads on there. Everything is about selling ads. And so, for instance, I went to a particular doctor this week of a particular specialty. Already, I am getting all kind of ads for drugs or over-the-counter aids that I can take to heal that sort of problem that is going on there. And so this is exactly how it works, is Facebook never charges you a dime because they're selling everything about you. And they are then selling the ad space that goes on to everything for there. So up until recently, there was a thinking under Section 230 that internet companies would not be held liable for anything that was posted on there, because think about it, they are not doing the posting, you are. By the way, the same holds true for Siri and Alexa and all of those people. They are posting everything you say, and they're selling it, and they're selling it out to make money on it. So the position has been up until about 2018 that these companies could act with total immunity, and they're not going to be held liable. Well, the Texas Supreme Court on June 25th ruled that the social media giant Facebook can be held liable if sex traffickers use the platform to prey on teenagers. The court was hearing the case filed by 3 women victims claiming that they were pushed into prostitution as teenagers by the sexual predators who used Facebook to ensnare them. So they are being held in Texas for the content. The plaintiffs claimed that the Facebook was negligent and had not adapted effective measures to block sex traffickers because of monetary benefits from its advertising to more than 2 billion users. In the lawsuit, the women claim that Facebook won't use their advertising space for public service announcements regarding the dangers of sex trafficking. In fact, Judge James Blackblock of the Texas Supreme Court said in its ruling that the victims can sue Facebook under a state law that allows legal action against those who benefit from sex trafficking. He did add that the victims cannot claim that Facebook has failed to warn children and take action to stop sex trafficking on its website. Facebook, in its defense, said it is protected under Section 230, and this ruling stands against that. So it is an interesting thing. If you'll stay with me in the next section, I'm going to break down exactly how all of this is playing out under the Fosta Sesta sex trafficking laws, and more important, what you can do about it. This is Opal Singleton. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited, Crimes and Technology. I want to tell you about a book I wrote called Seduced, The Grooming of America's Teenagers. It's all about how predators access, groom, recruit, and exploit our young people using social media, online gaming, video chat rooms. Technology is changing at the speed of light, and we have to understand how to keep our kids safe from predators. So you can get this book by going to www.exploited, millionkids.org. It's $16. I'll sign it and I'll ship it to you personally. We hope that you will order this book, educate yourself about how to keep our kids safe in this day of changing technology. Join us each Saturday for our radio show at Exploited, Crimes and Technology at 3 o'clock on AM 590, The Answer. Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton. I'm the president and CEO of Million Kids, and I operate as the training and outreach coordinator for the Riverside County Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. Before I get deep into this, I just want to take a second to say thank you to each and every one of you that follow this show and follow these laws, especially that help us with combat human trafficking and the social media exploitation. I appreciate so much the people who send in donations and share the show with friends and talk to their kids so that they're safe online. So what is this all about? Well, let me lay the background. So up until about 2018, so many social media companies were operating in this bubble called the Communications Act, Section 230, believing that they would not be held responsible for the content on their site because they did not charge for it. And what happened is that a sex trafficking law passed in the Capitol Hill back in Washington, D.C., called Fosta and Sesta. That's F-O-S-T-A and S-E-S-T-A. And these bills are considered the sex trafficking bills, if you will. They basically said that social media companies cannot operate with impunity when, in fact, they are being used by child pornographers, by pimps, by cartels, by gangs, by pedophiles to recruit innocent young kids into sending naked photos or meeting up and ending up in being sex trafficked, put out for forced prostitution or forced labor where they didn't get paid and they were exploited. And so the United States government passed those two laws, Fosta and Sesta, that kind of overruled the section that is out there and said that, yes, you can be held responsible. And so at that point, what happened is that you started to see big changes in the sex trafficking industry. At the same time this happened, the owners of Backpage, which was the largest sex advertising site in the world, taken down. And they were actually taken down for money laundering. And it had to do with a furniture store out of the Philippines. It was quite the story. Anyway, so then what happened is all the millions of people that wanted to sell sex ads online, think about the amount of ads they're going to sell along with it, they scattered like cockroaches when you turned the lights on. They went, over to Malaysia and Albania and Romania and Belize and all these offshore countries. And they developed something called bulletproof hosting, where they had set up in countries where they don't really care what the content is on that site. You're not having these communication acts like we have here, the 230 acts. And so they went offshore, but the ads are still here in the United States. And law enforcement still combs through them because we're looking to see who's for sale in our area and are they underage. And if you meet up with them, I talked last week about a reverse sting that our law enforcement operated. Both the DA and the sheriff ran a undercover operation out in various parts of Riverside County, where literally 25 men were arrested who showed up thinking they're going to have sex with a 13-year-old. And so what had happened is this law passed that said if you're featured in one of those ads, you can be sued. Well, so with that, these sex ad companies all went off to remote locations where they can't be sued. And so then what happened is that these lawsuits began to go on porn companies. And it will be interesting to see. I have long contended that a lot of our sex trafficking cases will be replaced by live interactive pornography, online interactive pornography, or webcam sex. Why in the world is a pimp going to take a girl down to a motel and where she can only collect from one client and risk a STD or a reverse sting and get arrested, when in fact he can make a video of her and sell it out 20,000 times an hour, collecting money with each one, and then you pay a premium and go over and have live webcam sex with her, interactive sex, where you get addicted to that relationship online and you're willing to pay more. And so rather than having all these girls going out to motels, you're going to see them in warehouses, or guys, LBGT people, male sex providers, and they also will be put in warehouses doing, or their homes doing, webcam sex, where they are going to be blackmailed. Well, this law that Fosta and Sesta said that if you have been violated through one of those ads online, or maybe through sextortion, where you're being blackmailed because you've sent a naked photo to someone, that you can sue the online company. And that is what is going on in these deals. This has really reached all kinds of situations as they do these test cases. One of the headlines I look at is Twitter sued by survivor of child sexual exploitation. I talked about this case in the past. Holly Sass put together, that is a couple of senators, that put together a couple of laws up on Capitol Hill saying that Pornhub will be responsible if any of their sex actors are being violated. Well, they've taken it to another level because it turns out that Pornhub has theoretically over 1 million child pornography pictures on their site, that they are saying that they are not responsible for taking it down. In fact, there is a case that is going on by having quoted this Holly Sass act on there, where a young man was 13 years old. He was playing online. He met a 16-year-old girl. He became intimate emotionally with her and provided pictures of his private goods, if you will. Later, then, it turns out that she is not a 16-year-old girl, but he had been trapped, as happens usually somewhere around 8,000 to 10,000 times a day across America minimum. That was prior to COVID, before our kids were online all the time. And so he began to get blackmailed. He was 13 and he's now 17 and he wants to go to college. And he is being, harassed by all of his teammates, all of his schoolmates who are seeing these online. He told his mother he can't get into schools. He's really being ruined. He's being bullied. And he told his folks went to the police went to Twitter. He went to Twitter. They have now filed a lawsuit because Twitter is saying it does not violate their standards. And in fact, what has happened on there is they've now found that photograph that they won't take down, in fact, has been viewed 167,000 times, and it has 2,200 retweets and 6,600 likes of people who like his video. Twitter will not take that down, and so he's suing. Well, in addition to that, 22 women won a $13 million lawsuit on GirlsDoPorn because they were tricked by GirlsDoPorn is a division of Pornhub. Pornhub now has over $500 million in lawsuits taking place by people who say, I was tricked into sending in my naked body or performing, believing that it wouldn't go out to the general public. And so the lawsuits are really mounting up. And they're trying to put Pornhub out of business. Pornhub, with GirlsDoPorn, the owner of Pornhub is on the run for what it's worth. One of the owner's mansions burned down, had arson last week in Montreal, Canada. And it's really coming apart. It turns out that they were advertising on Pornhub that you could make $40,000 a week being an amateur sex model. And our kids were sending in thousands, tens of thousands of photos thinking they're going to make money through Pornhub. And in fact, what happened, they ended up getting violated. So what has happened up till now is that these companies have said, we are not responsible for what you post. We don't post it. You bar our site and you post it. And so why should we be held financially responsible for what you post? But the laws, at least in Texas, are turning against them. They are saying you are obligated to get software and look at your users and see what they're posting, or else you are going to get sued. So we are at an interesting time in our society. I want to take that to the next level, talking about the border and Facebook as we come back for our break. We're up against that break, folks, so I'm going to ask you to stay with us, and we're going to be right back.
Custom Service Systems, a proud supporter of Million Kids, is a family-owned and operated commercial cleaning company servicing the Inland Empire and surrounding areas since 1974. CSS takes pride in their ability to maintain the business facilities they serve and their long-lasting relationships with their valued clients. CSS provides a variety of cleaning systems customized to client needs, including deep cleaning and disinfectant to be COVID-19 compliant. From basic office cleaning to windows and floors, CSS will clean up your mess so you don't have to stress. Custom Service Systems cares about families and communities and wants to give back. Custom Service Systems are proud supporters of Million Kids to keep kids safe from predators. If you need the best cleaning services for your business or corporation, contact Custom Service Systems at cssclean.com. Again, cssclean.com, or call 951-781-9345. That's 951-781-9345. You will know you found the best. Custom Service Systems.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Let me tell you about my friend Doris Anderson at Remax Realty in Upland. She is amazing. She's kind, she's patient, but she listens. And she's informed, and she will help you with your real estate transaction in a way that works for you. Doris, in full disclosure, often supports the work of Million Kids because she cares about young people. But she knows how to analyze a market, how to market a property, and how to find just the right transaction for both buyers and sellers. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate or invest in income property, contact Doris Anderson at Remax Realty, 951-733-8899. That's 951-733-8899. 951-733-8899.
This message is all about Million Kids, the organization that helps locate missing kids throughout Southern California and educates to keep kids safe from predators. Million Kids educates school administrators, teachers, parents, and teenagers how predators identify a potential victim and the methods they use to recruit innocent kids. BMW of Riverside is a proud supporter of Million Kids. Visit BMW of Riverside at the Adams Street exit off the 91 freeway or click bmwofriverside.com.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton, and we are talking about what is happening on the internet and how the Texas Supreme Court has now a case that has ruled that Facebook will be held liable for their content. So as I was talking about this, I want you to think about this. They are not a public utility where you can go online and say what you want. In fact, they themselves do not post content. They loan you their platform to post the content. Now what is happening with the laws are saying that if content is put out there that is harmful to people, that the owner of the platform is responsible. And the owner of the platform is saying, meaning Facebook, how can we be responsible for what other people post? And in the meantime, they have used this as a right to censor you, to be able to say on there. In fact, as you know, Amazon went in and took down 12 million people off of Parler way back when. And, you know, I've had people say to me, well, they should be taken down. They were posting dangerous stuff. Well, 12 million people didn't post dangerous stuff. Trust me, you should be allowed to be on there. But what you're doing is holding the owner of the Facebook or the Parler or the whatever app you're using responsible for what other people post. They are saying if we are responsible, we get a right to decide who's dangerous and who's not. And we think that your right wing conservative thinking is dangerous. And so we are taking you off. And they took off literally 12 million people off of Parler. So we have never been there before. The reason why, one of the reasons why this is so important to me is I read an article. This is out. I don't know exactly who wrote this. Olivia Salon and Jacob Ward and Arnie Haikaila, I think it is. Coyotes spew misinformation about U.S. border policy on Facebook, then cash in. And so it's a long article, and it's a fascinating article to read. I would encourage you to Google that article. Coyotes spew misinformation about U.S. border policy. That'll get you in there. So what is happening here is that the coyotes are using Facebook, and Facebook is not taking them down. They are using this, trying to warn migrants desperate to enter the U.S. not to waste their money on human smugglers advertising their services on social media. So what I want you to start to see here is that coyotes, as well as the migrants, are using Facebook and the encrypted messaging app WhatsApp to talk to individuals. In some cases, they promise them safe passage. Sometimes they connect them to the coyote. Sometimes they use it to warn people about that they are going to get violated if they don't pay a coyote. There's a nonprofit group here called Tech Transparency Project. It's a research group with a watchdog campaign for accountability on there. And what they're doing is they're watching as the groups reported finding dozens of groups, some with tens of thousands of members, in which human smugglers promote their services, including posting prices, phone numbers to call, and a video of previous successful crossings. The research board builds on this report of the nonprofit. And they're saying that Facebook groups is that you have people who are in very desperate, vulnerable situations commingling with people that are parts and may be used by those who want to harm them. We are constantly evaluating ways to improve our enforcement so we can effectively find. So what has happened here is people are confronting Facebook and saying you are responsible for the migrants that are being violated because they are using Facebook, number one, to recruit people to cross the border and to threaten them with what is going on back home under WhatsApp, which is encrypted. And so they're saying that Facebook is in essence become the face of coyotes that are recruiting and collecting money. This one group had 44,000 Facebook members. I don't speak Spanish. It says I want to cross the border is what it means, in which human smugglers post advertisement, in some cases videos documenting the journey with the migrants. So another person advertising coyote service, same group, and posting videos, shows photos of people along the journey, are a Vatos Locos, a criminal gang that operates in Mexico. And so they're saying that Facebook needs to be responsible for, if you're going to monitor the posts, then you need to be responsible if people are being lured in illegally. And if they can't pay, they're getting violated. So it is an interesting path we're going down. On the one hand, social media can be the most exciting and fun thing, and our young people live and breathe on it because it is how they were raised to communicate. Having said that, a lot of bad goes on there. Young girls go on, they post a naked photo, they can't get it back, they get violated. They're connected to somebody who promises them a job as a model, and the next thing you know, they're into forced prostitution. You have your 9-year-old who posts some naked photo and their lives go upside down. Is it the app company, or is it the kid, or is it the parent who put the kid on that app when in fact they hit I agree, and yet they are not agreeing because they agreed their child would be 12 and they're putting their child on there when they're 9. It is an interesting time to be alive, folks. I'm not going to draw a lot of conclusions on this because we're just starting a journey. We're telling Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, and trust me, I'm not a friend of theirs. They took me off myself. But we're telling them that they are being held liable for any content on their free site if they are because they are making money on all of those posts and selling that information out. In the meantime, we have kids who you agree are responsible and will not send naked photos being given apps by parents and put on there when they're not of age. And when they send that naked photo, they cannot get it back. So who is responsible when a child or an adult gets violated online because of something that's posted? It is a complex question. And one that I grapple with every day. Trust me, I'm not a fan of social media, but I'm on it myself because that's how we promote this show. And it is how commerce is done, and it is how we operate. And we are asking people to post only things that are legal. That's what you agree to. So when your child or yourself posts something that's not legal, or you respond to an ad for online sex or webcam sex and you get violated, can we hold that app responsible? The minute you hold them responsible, then they just say, I own my own site, and it is your content, so I have a right to remove anybody we don't agree with. It is a complex subject, and I'm not quite sure how and where this is going to end. I applaud the Supreme Court for protecting sex trafficking victims, but we have to stop and take a look at a personal responsibility for ourselves and our minor children that we provide phones to before they go online. So there are no straightforward answers on this. We need to get involved. My role in this is to educate you about the prevention and intervention so your child will not get violated. Whether they're a child who has become an adult and got mixed up in a sex trafficking case, or whether they're a minor who sent a naked photo. If you know of anybody who is being trafficked or being exploited through sextortion or child pornography or social media exploitation, call this number and report it. 1-888-373-7888. I'm going to give that to you again in case you're madly running around looking for a pen or your little phone so you can make a note in your tablet. 1-888-3737-888. My name is Opal Singleton. The organization is Million Kids. If you appreciate this organization, if it is helping you, if you want to help keep your kids safe from predators, you can do that by going online and donating to our organization. millionkids.org, not .com, millionkids.org. We're not 1 million kids. We're not a million kids. We are Million Kids, millionkids.org. Go in, make some comments, join up for our insider alerts so you get the latest cases, the latest happenings, everything there. There is no charge for that. Just sign up for it and we'll send them out to you 2 to 3 times a week. We don't sell your name. We don't advertise off of it. We just educate you. Folks, thank you for listening. I hope that you'll have a great week. Put your arms around your kids and tell them you love them. Look at your spouse, tell them you're proud of them. And I'll see you next Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock on AM 590, The Answer.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.